Storytelling is not just a fun way of connecting with people. What is that action you want them to take? What is that you want them to perceive about your brand? That's most important. Do you want it to build a brand? How you can use storytelling in your marketing? That's how powerful storytelling is. Do you know what is the oldest marketing technique? Storytelling. Today, let's dive into how to build compelling stories that not just builds your brand, but also drive sales. Storytelling is not just a fun way of connecting with people. It is a powerful strategy that can transform your business. Let's start with a quick story. It's a true story. Imagine a man buys 200 random items at rupees 125. Ordinary items, not very valuable. He then starts building a compelling story around each of these items and sells it on eBay. Any guess how much he would have earned? 80,000 rupees. A mere investment of 25,800 rupees gives him an income of 80,000 rupees. That's how powerful storytelling is. So, what made these objects worth so much more? The stories. The value came from how the stories were framed and presented. This goes to show that storytelling can turn ordinary things into something that is extraordinary. Now, let's define how you can use storytelling in your marketing. First, what is that core message you want to give your audience? Define that. Do you want it to build a brand? Do you want it for engagement? Or do you want it for increasing your sales? Based on this, you need to craft your stories because without a direction, the stories will fall flat. You need to know what you want to do with your stories. Like when your audience listen to your stories, what is that action you want them to take? What is that you want them to perceive about your brand? That's most important. Second is, what's the type of stories you want to say? There are different types of stories. One story is to incite your audience. That is, your audience should take an action after hearing your story. So what is that action you want them to take? You want them to come and look at your brand. You want them to buy you. What is it that you want to do? Second is personal stories, like stories about your triumphs, story about your struggles, stories about your happy moments. Share these stories. These stories humanize you and your brand. Be vulnerable to them. Third is stories about engagement, like value-based stories. What is that value that you want to incorporate in your business? What is that value in your business? When your audience resonate with the value that you are putting in your brand, they are more likely to engage with you. So what is that value that you want to put into your business? Fourth is educational stories. Give some good educational tips about your products, your brands, about your industry. When you give educational stories, people tend to connect with you. They want to know more about what are you doing, what is that your brand doing, and most probably they will engage and they could sign up with you. So, what is that stories that you want your audience to hear from you? Define that and then start building the stories. The four types of stories. Let me repeat it: insight, action, personal stories, value-based stories, educational stories. So, what is it that you want your audience to do once they hear your stories? Based on it, build your stories. First, we said define your values. Second, we said type of stories. Third is call to action. Now that you've said a good story, what is that action you want to do? Avoid pushing for a sale because that's not what you need to do. Your stories should incite some action like signing up for something, joining your WhatsApp group, joining your YouTube channel. Don't try to hard sell with your stories. Stories are a marketing technique. They are meant to engage and not to sell. These are marketing techniques. I told you what was the oldest marketing technique. I didn't tell you what was the sales technique. Stories are not for selling. They are for marketing. They are for building a brand. So what is that call to action you want your customer to do? You want them to sign in for something? You want them to go and see your shop or you want them to watch your channels? What is that? Give that call to action after you have told your stories. Now that you have got the basic tips, here are three bonus tips to how to make your storytelling even more effective. One is include characters. Characters make your story more lively. They make people connect with it. Second is have a conflict. When there's a conflict, there's tension. People are wanting to know what happens next. So have a conflict in your stories. And third is have a resolution. How was that conflict resolved? And how did your product help to resolve that conflict? Bring these three in your stories to make it more lively, to make it more engaging, to make people want to hear that stories again and again and connect with you. So that now that we have told you The three steps for effective storytelling: one is define your core value, define the type of stories that you want to sell, and third is call to action. And don't forget the tips that I just gave you, the three tips that make stories more effective. Now it's time for you to tell your stories. If you need any help with your marketing, please check the link below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you have any questions or need any further tips. I'll be happy to help you with your stories that drive results. Thank you for watching and good luck with your storytelling.